all those experiments, let's all get together and we're going to check it, right? What worked? What didn't work? Did it work as well as we wanted? Does it actually get towards that goal that we wanted? Was it good? And then we act. And the act, I actually like to say adjust rather than act. That's the point where we go, well, what are we going to do now? We had a problem. We had a current state, we had a future state. We did a bunch of experiments. We looked at them. Do we want to go with that, or do we want to move on? What do we want to do? And in that place, what we do is we generally standardize. That's how we keep our continuous improvement from not going backwards down the hill, right? You have to standardize this stuff. If you just do a bunch of stuff and make a Kaizen improvement, but then you don't lock it into your organization, guess what? You're going to reinvent it again next year, right? That's what continuous improvement is. Very practical. And you have to have that empathy for this to work, right? This is the slogan that is generally the one that should be on the wall, right? I think it captures it beautifully, right? We are making mistakes. Let's not pretend we're not. We're making mistakes. Let's make good ones, right? That's fail fast and empathy together. Now, I always throw out my Kaizen caution. Efficiency is doing the right thing. Effectiveness is doing the right thing. Did I get that wrong? Yeah, I totally messed that up. Doing things right, right things. Yeah, same. It's late in the day. Don't make stupid things better. Just don't do them. If you're doing the wrong thing, if you're in a company that is forcing you to continue to improve the wrong thing, just leave. Like, the job market is amazing right now. I know some of you guys are in like positions where you're like, no, I can't leave. Nobody wants me. I'm useless. I'm a fraud. I was like that too. And then I went to chef. And now I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I should have left a long time. Anyway, I can't say it on camera. And if you really, you're like, I need to leave, but I don't know where to go, Taos will help you. They will give you opportunities. Okay? So, empathy, important. It's a feeling. It's an important feeling, and it's critical in the DevOps environment for any of this crap to actually work. And that leads us up to growth. Now, there's two types of growth. There's one that we call vision. All right, what are these? Chicks. They're chicks. Now, what are they going to be in about a year? He's got an even better vision than the rest of us. It's called follow through. I like that. All right? That's a real vision. You see what it is today. That's called current state. And you can see in your mind's eye what it's going to be in the future. That's called future state. Okay? Continuous improvement is when we realize the two things and then figure out, well, what do we do to get from chick to chicken? Or in his case, plate. Okay? That's vision. That's real vision. That's something we can get behind. That's something that's concrete. That's something that's useful. That's something that drives us and makes us want to get up in the morning and go to work and do something great. This is a fucking graph. The vision is more. And here's the problem. It's a serious problem. There is no point at which you are done. There is a point at which that chicken is a chicken. And there's a point at which it is slaughtered and put on your plate. And then the vision is realized. This has no end, ever. It's just more, 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 more. There's no point at which any of us are going to say, yes, did it. More, just more. Useless. So vision is important. And vision starts with us, individually, right? People sometimes wonder, like, it's really interesting. They'll look at a startup and they'll be like, well, you know, the startup was so fun. It was so cool. And we're doing all this neat stuff. But it's not like that anymore. What changed? What changed is there was actually only one guy, one person, who was really holding it all together. That's called the founder, right? Usually, right? And everyone's like, oh, I like that person. I believe what they believe what I believe. There's a trust bond, right? A very personal trust bond. And they have a vision for where they're going. And you're like, I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know where you're going, and I want to be a part of that. Let's go do that thing, right? And you follow them. Well, as you grow, as you get more people, eventually somebody hires in because their buddy works there, or because the money's good, or because they heard it's going someplace. They don't give a crap what the founder's vision is or what happens. And then, at some point, the funny thing is that the people who are visionary and start companies are really crappy at actually running them, which means they get hoisted, and everything collapses, and it's terrible and horrible, right? Vision is a personal thing. It has to start with one individual, right? From that individual, we have a personal vision. And from that personal vision, we can partner with others. And that becomes a shared vision. And then other people come around it, and they want to contribute to that so that we can all grow together, and that's called engagement, right? And finally, we all want to work together and make each other better so that we can all fulfill our personal visions and our collective visions, right? And that's shared learning. But it begins with an individual. Who is the person that had the vision for Apple? Unfortunately, it was Steve. It should have been Wozniak. We would have had a really nice Lisa, but right? Like, we intuitively get this. Like, it's an individual, right? We know there's Steve, the Steves, and there's Apple, the giant corporation. Now, there actually were a ton of people in the middle. Who knows, right? That it all started with a personal vision. And to this day, people who think of Apple think of Steve. He's not even with us anymore. We still think of him. It was his vision, right? At Sun, right? We had our heroes at Sun. We all have in our own tribes. There's an individual. When we think about like what symbolizes the thing that we believe, it's generally one person, because that's the personal vision that they share and that we engage with. And so growing together requires trust, which is a feeling between people who believe what the others believe, right? All of us in this room are more friends with each other than with the people walking around across the street, because we all believe in DevOps, right? We believe very different things. We come from different walks of life. We have different colors and different sexes and different religions and different everything. But we all believe in DevOps to some degree. And that means that there is a level of trust between those of us in this room that's a little bit more than with anyone else in another walk of life. And this is true everywhere, right? Trust, feeling, important. And we need empathy in order to build an environment where we can learn and we can grow and we can fail in a safe environment where we can have real learning and not just walk through these games. And finally, vision. In order to grow, you're going to have a vision, a very personal vision. And that's going to happen at the company level, like founder, but don't think it's just about founders. This is about each of us and our teams. DevOps is not, this is one of the things, let me rant just for 1 second. The enterprise has caught on to the DevOps thing, right? You guys notice that? And guess what? There's now certification, and there's training, and there's all kinds of stuff. And what they want to do is they want to turn it into the same thing that happened with ITIL and that happened with COVID. And all those things are wonderful things. Don't think that they're terrible. But what happened is they got, somebody at the top of the organization heard about ITIL. Oh, it's amazing. It'll help your workforce. You can standardize. It'll be fantastic. And they went, yes, that's great. I should give that to all my people. And then they brought it into their organization, and they said, everyone do this, and it'll be better. But they never talked to most of us, right, who are actually doing the job, right? They're just like, just do this thing. And then they go back to their buddy, their CIO buddies, and they're like, see, everything's fantastic. We're doing ITIL. And that's why all my people are so happy. And meanwhile, there's people in cubes going like, I hate him. He should die. Okay? This is coming. This is coming for DevOps. There are going to be people who are going to be told, DevOps is really important. It changed the industry and it makes everything better. You're going to be a happier individual. So you're going to go and take this training class, and then after 6 hours of your training class, you're going to take an exam and you will be certified, and we will all be happy. Good. It's going to happen. It's really going to happen. We must resist, right? I kind of feel like we're kind of stuck and trapped. There's not a lot we can do about it, right? Because we're sort of like the hippies at like the end of the 70s, where everyone's like, I'm a hippie too. And you're like, oh no, my mom's a hippie now. It's not cool. You know, like the first time like your parents listened to like metal or something like that, you're like, oh no. Or like Muzak punk. You're just like, oh no. Okay. A practical book. A practical book. If you're going to read a DevOps book, read this DevOps book. It's called The Fifth Discipline. It was written in the early 90s. It is by Peter Senge, who culminated all the systems work that was going on at MIT. And there are many, many books you should read. I have a million recommendations for each of you on books, okay? But if you're going to read just one, read this one, because it's the one that sort of sums it all up. And it's going to talk about personal mastery, and that's figuring out who you are. Right? Then it's going to talk about mental models. That's what do you think about the world? Let's figure out what you think the world is like, and then make that a little rational so we can go, hey, that's kind of fucked up. Maybe the reason I hate everyone on the development team is because I have it in my head that all developers are scum liars. Because if you think that, maybe it'd be helpful to know that before you go into a meeting with a bunch of developers and be like, I'm going to challenge that. Right? Shared vision. Shared vision, right? Under that understanding of how vision is cultured and how it's shared, team learning, empathy, and most importantly, systems thinking. Okay? Trust, empathy, growth. They're not independent. They build on each other. Cool? Okay, I have one final rant since I'm like way early. But I'll let you ask questions. Does anyone have questions they want to ask? So you think it was totally nuts, or it was just totally complete? I go for complete, so.
Those of us who are maybe in more enlightened organizations, shall we say, what can we do to help our friends in the more enterprisey? Like you said, this tide is coming. What can we do to help stem it or counteract it?
I would say lovingly correct. Like, I mean, I was on Twitter the other night, and I saw somebody who was like, "Oh, this DevOps Institute, hooray!" You know, it's just it's so nice to see that we're going to have standardization and no longer have to deal with all this empathy. Mind you, I wrote this talk like a month ago, right? So like, and I saw this like 2 days ago, and I was just like, I was like, if you think that empathy is a problem, I pity you. You're, you know, and I wanted to say all kinds of horrible things, and the thing is I really, I mean, I'm a Solaris guy, so I know I tend to be kind of crotchety, but I've also made enough mistakes. I'm not as clever as some people, so I make a lot of mistakes. So dudes in glass houses don't go throwing stones, okay? So I try to not mess with people. And so I tend to not say mean things on Twitter because, you know, that comes around. But yeah, just gently correct. Gently correct. And stand up and be a model, right? If you're in an organization that's doing it well, share how you're doing it. And not just that you're doing it. One of the things we want to be doing in these talks, and I hope I'm doing in this talk, is we want to talk about like how do we do these things for reals, not just like you should do all this, and then you can go home and go like, I don't really know what to do. I know I'm supposed to do it, but I don't know how to do it. Right? Some of these things, particularly if you're managers, the way to get this going is just one-on-ones with your team. Right? In Chef, so I've come to Chef, and I love Chef. You know the things that like, if you guys have, Chef has an amazing culture. And I can tell you as a noob at Chef, like it's actually true. It's totally an awesome place to work. And we're hiring, so, but we're also very picky. So, you know, look good. I actually sit down with all of my reports, not just my direct reports, but my reports. And I actually sit down and say, what do you want out of life? Because I don't just want employees who will do what I want them to do. I want employees who want to do great work, and I can benefit by them doing the work that they want to do, and they can do it with us, and we can all be moving together so that each of us can use our own personal shared vision in a shared collective way, right? I don't want somebody who's just going to punch a time card. Like, there are lots of companies that will pay you to do that. Go do that. But like, if somebody wants to be great, I want to work with that person, right? Let's be together. Any other questions?
As an individual contributor, what do you think is the best way to manage up?
As an IC, how to manage up? Frankly, just do it. All right? I mean, like, look, DevOps actually started at the bottom, and this is one of the things that concerns me about the fact that now we're seeing this kind of top-down is coming, is this is a grassroots movement, right? When you start forcing it from the top down, it's not going to go quite so well, right? And they should figure that out. Like, there are people like me who are like standing on stages going like, Lean is cool, let's do TPS, it's fantastic. Reports, they're awesome, right? You think all the CEOs would be like, no, leave them alone, leave them alone, leave them alone, leave them alone. They're going to give us reports. They're doing metrics on their own. Just leave them alone. Let's not get involved. But apparently they're not that smart. Encourage people to do their best. And again, that comes to that empathy. Let people try things. Even at all sorts of organizations, I see different people who are like, well, the process is stupid. I'm like, then change it. Well, I don't think I can. I'm like, I'm your boss. I'm telling you, you can. You know, really? Yeah, really. Just change it, right? Don't. You know, if things aren't good for you individually, or you see somebody else struggling, just change it. Just be bold, right? And I can say, if there's one thing I've learned in management, in all the management stuff I had done, because I never wanted to be a manager, by the way. I really did not want to ever do that. But everyone else sucked at it so bad that I was like, I'll throw my hat in the ring. I mean, I can't do any worse than they are. At least I care about the people, right? These other people don't. Generally, the only thing a manager wants is to not be bothered. So when they have employees, I'm dead serious. So when they have employees that go, I have an idea of how we should do things, they're like, great, because I've got no idea. They won't say that, but that's what they're thinking, right? But most people are like, well, if I speak up, the boss will get mad. They're like, no, the boss has been waiting. So be bold. Get out there. Say it. Okay, I'll give you my rant. Here's my closing rant. DevOps, 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 DevOps. Here's the big idea. You ready for it? You gotta want it. This is the big idea of DevOps. This is what it all boils down to. Pride of workmanship. Each one of us has the right to go home at night, to get into our beds, and to say, that was good. That was good. Let's do it tomorrow. Big, small, it doesn't matter. Every one of us has a right to go home and be proud of the work that we do. And not just what we do, but the way in which we do it. And that means that if we are managers and leaders in our organizations, it is our obligation to provide an environment where our employees feel cared enough for, safe enough, that they can go and try things, and whether things go well or go badly, they feel like they were in an environment where they were cared for and they will improve and not be punished for it. So that even if things all go upside down, they can go to bed at night and be like, man, that was fucked up, but I'm really glad I had a good team. We did good. That should be a basic fucking right. Now, thank you. I'll trade you the claps if you just go do that. It's all at your companies, because it would be great if we all did this. Pride of workmanship, what is it? Each of us has the right to know what our job is. Now, any fans of Drucker, Peter Drucker? Peter Drucker? Okay, best book he ever wrote. He wrote like 39 books. Best book he ever wrote, and the most important book he wrote, for any of you who haven't read him before, is Management Challenges of the 21st Century. The funny thing is, it's a management book that's really aimed at the worker more than it is the managers. And it clearly states in that book that the 21st Century Management Challenge is, first and foremost, figuring out what your job is. Because each one of us came into probably our current employer, and they didn't go like, all right, these are the 14 things I need you to do. And he went like, great, I'm going to go ahead and take care of that, and when I'm done, I'll let you know. Right? More than likely, you came into a company, and they were like, oh, man, we've been needing somebody in ops so bad. We've been needing a new developer on this project so bad. Oh, I'm so glad that you're here. Okay, go get started. And you're like, okay, what do you want me to do? Like, holy shit, we don't even know. That's pretty much why we hired you. Because we don't fucking know. And you left because it's fucking true. Right? Most of us don't fucking know what our jobs are. We really don't. What's more so is not only do we not know what our jobs are, by the way, your bosses don't know your jobs are either. They're especially clueless. You have the best idea in your whole company of what you actually do. And each of you at some point have had to be like, do I have to explain to you what I do? Right? And they were like, actually, that'd be great. Tell us. The really dumb companies just fire you and then go, oh shit, that's what he did. Oops. Yeah, that was really important. Let's hire somebody real quick. Hi, what's my job? I don't know. Go read his whatever notes he had on his desk, because we didn't know what he did, but he's gone now. Shit, and it repeats. So we don't know what our job is. We're just supposed to figure it out. And when you don't know what your job is, the downside is you never know if you're doing it right. There's no way for you to go home at night and be like, done. Yes. Right? Because you fucking don't know what you're supposed to be doing in the first place. Right? You just basically like leave at the end of the day, and like if somebody goes, see you, man, you're like, yes, okay, that's some kind of validation. I'm good. I'm going to run before anybody goes, hey, fuck you. Right? Somebody yells, then you just run faster. And then they page you when you get to your car. So we have this basic right. Like, we should know what our job is. We should know, what it is that's good. When is it good? When is it bad? Right? Do we have a voice in the organization? Can we go and actually talk to people? I mean, everyone loves that corporation. It's like, as the CEO of this corporation, I have an open door policy. You're free to come and talk to me anytime you want. If it's bad news, probably maybe don't come. And if you do, you may or may not get some kind of like disciplinary action in a passive-aggressive way down the line. Like, no thanks. So, do you get and give respect to others? You have environment set? Is there trust? Is there empathy? These things are important. And do you ultimately, at the end of the day, do you know what the results of your work are? Is it done? Did you accomplish what you were supposed to accomplish? Can you go to bed going like, I did the best I could do? Maybe it wasn't what I wanted, maybe it was good, maybe it was bad, but I did the best I could, and I'm good with that. I'm going to go in tomorrow and I'm going to do it again, right? Do other people know the results of theirs? This is what we should be striving for. And it comes down ultimately to two things: quality and the system. Okay? All of us are dealing with systems all day long. This is why systems thinking is sort of really important. There's a system which is like a computer, and then when we say system administrator, right, we think of like a computer, right? And one of the things that actually started me on this whole journey of like systems thinking is at some point I was looking at like racks of machines. I was running a cloud, right? And I had like hundreds of machines, and I was like, the system is no longer a box, it's all of them. That's the system. I'm like, I am still a systems administrator. It's just not the same system. It's a bigger system. And then I started like caring about people and like managing them, and I was like, well, now it's like the system includes like the racks and the data center and the network and like the people, right? And then I had like multiple groups, and it was like, oh, now it includes like the whole, like this whole chunk of the ecosystem. Systems within systems within systems, right? Some of those systems are just fucked up systems. And the most important thing you can do to a fucked up system is break it. Do it. This is continuous improvement for reals. Take the parts that are bad, clip them the fuck off, and stitch in new stuff, right? Do not continue to condone a bad system. Destroy the system. Make a new system, a better system. You'd be like, well, the replacement system may be worse than the original system. Well, you got to make a start, right? And I can give you science, I can go into complexity theory and Snowden stuff from the Cynefin framework and all that crap if you want me to prove it. Just break it. Make it better over time, right? We have to, the only way that you can do this, the only way that you can do any of this stuff is to have a long-term view, right? Don't be thinking about what it's going to be like next week. Think about what it's going to be like in a year. If you're thinking about where I want to be in a year, you're going to make very different decisions than if you're thinking about where you're going to be next week or in a month, right? The result of a bad system is poor quality. The result of a good system is high quality. And the ultimate test of quality is whether or not your customers are happy and your workers are fulfilled, right? And going back to those 6 human needs, the thing that makes you feel fulfilled in life, in any walk of your life, is 2 things: growth and contribution. If you are not growing, you are dying. If you are not contributing, you are not being listened to, and we don't feel a sense of respect. Each of us has to be growing and contributing every day, right? If we're managers, you need to ask yourself, employee by employee, are they growing? Are they contributing? And more importantly, do they think they are growing and contributing? And if you don't know, ask them. There are lots of managers who think that they have very happy employees. Some of you here are fucking miserable, and your bosses talk to their bosses, and they're like, all my guys are super happy. They're at SCaLE. They're having a great time. They love this company, and you guys are here, and you're like, I hate my boss. I hate my company. I want them all to die. Right? So as managers, it's really important that we don't assume anything. Ask. And if your boss sucks, talk to your peers. Form a group of peers, a cadre. Get together, talk to each other, support each other. And if the system is fundamentally broken and you're in an environment where you cannot change it, fucking leave. If enough of you leave, someone might get the message. Because they're going to die. They're just going to die. Right? But all this is important. And I'm passionate about this because I desperately need the industry to improve in a big fucking way, really quick. Because nobody wants to talk about it, but guys, we're going to be a regulated industry by 2030. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. One of us is going to end up in front of congressional hearings explaining why Twitter was down. I'm dead fucking serious. The technology today, there was a point at which people thought that the telephone was a luxury item. There was a point at which automobiles were only for rich people, right? Now they make an assembly, a mistake in an assembly line somewhere, and the company gets sued for tons of money, and it's a fully regulated industry, right? It's coming for us, guys. It's coming. And what's really great right now is that we, the practitioners, the system administrators, the developers, the real people actually doing the job, are the ones calling the shots, thanks to DevOps. This is fantastic. It's ground up. It's changing. It's going to change very soon. We need to be very loud and very demanding of our peers, ourselves, and our leaders. Cool? Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you very much. And that is the end of DevOps Day LA. Whiskey. Thank you all for joining us. We hope to see you next year, and thanks again to our sponsors. If you want to continue this conversation, please join us on the meetup group, LA DevOps, and hopefully we'll see you there.